What's up, y'all? Today's the 15th of April, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We might play some guitar, we might hang out, we might do something else. This is episode 101, titled, You Don't Need a Girlfriend If You Won't Have a Wife. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it, brother. We'll talk about a lot of things. This goes for both ends. I want to say that right now. I just probably won't put it in the title because that'd be a pretty long title. If I were to title it, You Don't Need a Girlfriend or a Boyfriend If You Aren't Willing to Have a Husband or a Wife, right? But that's the point. It's on both ends. Either way, we'll talk about it in that lens. But as far as for the title, it would be pretty long if I gave the full context. So I'll do as I do, right? Talk about the company, all three sides as a whole. I'll talk about where clothing has to sit, and then we'll get into the discussion. So first few minutes are the intro, as I just said. Yes, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and this is 1/3 of our company as a whole, In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. Don't believe me? Truth is truth. It's apart from all of us. It manifests itself to you. I can say whatever I want, and so please don't believe me. All right. It's not about me. I'm here trying to relay truth, though, and I'm doing it imperfectly. We're sinful by nature. Never will I be perfect in this life, but then we die and get resurrected through Jesus Christ and be perfected as he is and as he did. He went before us as our perfect example, and we talk about a lot of that here. So we also have another third of us, which is In the Image Clothing Company, the main side. And on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, I and we as a company, just up until today's date, it's only been me, talk about the anatomy of the human body. We come at it through the skeletal system because there's a neutral joint within every joint in the body. It just has to be allowed to be. The key word is that, allowing the human body to work. There's a center line to the human being. And let me say this before I continue. It's not about the fat content. It's not about the muscle mass, because those things are conditional and they change. And we talk about eternal truths here under In the Image Clothing Company as a whole. And so the skeletal system, it's a system of bones. They don't change. They don't have movement within each individual bone. So that's how we actually get down to it, dude. That's how we actually allow the body to work. So, cool. Yes, we talk about all things, though. Standing, sitting, eating, drinking, hydration is what I really mean, and how to stay that way. Yeah. I want to say, too, before I get into this, I'm not making this for any specific, to try to get after somebody, no matter who it could be or what. But I will say this is the case for every human being. As far as the title of this episode here, episode 101 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled, You Don't Need a Girlfriend If You Won't Have a Wife. And I'll give some context before I even get through the intro entirely, because a lot of people in life, they'll go dating and dating and dating and dating, and sure, that's all great and fun, except that's somebody else's husband or wife, and or it might last for a good amount of time, but you've got this easy out, right? If you're not willing to get married, then you can just cut ties anytime with basically no repercussions that have to come to you, but the other person has no choice on the repercussions that come because it wasn't their choice to end it if it was on your end only, right? Where within a marriage, there's a lot of legality and promises and permanence that come. So there's no point of dating unless you're planning to marry. no opinion I could have. How about that? Check it out. We'll get into it. Yeah. In the Image Clothing Company. All right, I'm taking this shirt off. I'm not so comfortable sitting right here with this on. It fits really well, but because it fits so well, really like snugly, when I'm sitting here like this, the short sleeves don't allow for all that much movement of my arms in this type of position, okay? So, yes, more comfortable now, just in a t-shirt only. For those of you in audio only, In the Image Clothing Company podcast is available in video plus audio, right? As one form that you can view it. So, okay, let's get into this. Yes, the main side, I addressed it in the ways that I did, but there's a center line of the human being. The sternum, the trachea, the spine, the nose, the jaw, stabilizing the entire body naturally. We have to stay centered on an earth with gravity pulling us straight down, two sides to the body, feet arches opposing the center line, gripping inward, internal rotation. So we just have to. If clothing's placed onto our bodies and it's imbalanced whatsoever, the human body will be as well, because it's being encapsulated by something that is man-made, and the human body was designed by God. Okay, so there's another third of us, which is in the Image Clothing Company music. I'm a fingerstyle guitarist, but I play nylon strings with a radius, somewhere around half-sized. This isn't my personal guitar. It's what I'm using for this current time. It's my mother's. But I address sizings and setups of guitars because the hands only do what they do, as everything within the body does, and the hands really are essentially the shoulders. The feet are essentially the hips, and the body only will ever work as an entirety. Anywhere any of it goes, all of it has to, so it has to always stay activated as a whole. It naturally would if nothing had ever altered it. That's how it was designed to work, because it was, quote, designed to work, unquote. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled that, okay? So, there we go, 3 sides to our company. Clothing for everybody. Because the skeletal system of the human body is just a mechanical machine, and it only has the functions that it does, there's one location that clothing has to sit on every human being to ever live, designed by God, not my opinion. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're a human being, right? So pants need to be entirely above the hips so that they're off of the pelvis as a whole. There's a lot of functionality in the pelvis, and it has to be unrestricted. Otherwise, it's restricted. The angle of the waistband has to be slightly higher in the front than the rear. The core muscles in the front of our abdomen here are like every muscle within the human body in their operation, in that they only work by shortening, contracting, and that's the only way we can have pants on and allow the core to just do the only thing that it ever will. Yes, stretch within clothing that's there nowadays didn't even exist decades back from today's date, and then ever before then. It goes the opposing way that muscles shorten. Clothing potentially, and never should because the human body can't work this way, but clothing sometimes has stretch within it. Do not do that. And I can tell you that. Okay. Context. There we go. So top seams of the tops that we wear need to be evenly behind the little bones that are on the peak of our shoulders. Those are the other end of our collar bones that come down to the center of the front of the body, which is the sternum. Those determine where the shoulders are, and the shoulders only will ever work behind the head. Behind our head is where these upper trapezius muscles connect to the very base of the rear of the skull, along the cervical spine, which is the part of the spine that is the neck, and to the top/rear of the shoulder here. Yes, I made a video today, just about an hour ago, give or take. I got back within that amount of time from now, and it is titled Collarbones Follow Shoulder Seams. And there's a word, the, or the, T-H-E. So it's actually literally phrased, the collarbones follow shoulder seams, okay? The edge seams of our shoulders should be right at the very edges of our shoulders. They have to be as close as we can get it to right at the very edges, because that's where the functionality of the shoulder joint is. Can't do anything else, okay? Two things we have under In The Image Clothing Company as prerequisites, as we call it. Conditional, because there's not always ropes in shoes that we call laces. There's not always tags in clothing, but when there is a shoelace, it's, as I said, just a rope. There's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human foot, shaped the only way that structurally the bones and joints of the human foot operate. That's what we call In The Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique, found wherever you find us. With that, we tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line of the human being on both feet, because there is one, and there's no say any human being could ever have. Secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed within clothing, it's causing either a physical gap, changing the skeletal system's only working positions, and or just not allowing musculature to activate against the tag. And then the body's trying to compensate, but it cannot because it is all one. Okay? That brings us to the episode. The intro has been spoken. Here we are. You don't need a girlfriend if you won't have a wife. I'm going to say it like this as well. You don't need a boyfriend if you won't have a husband. All right? As I was starting to say before I did the intro, a lot of people, man, they look at dating as something to do. Like it's a game, because it is a game, but they don't really see it as what's happening. It always ends with one person getting hurt more than the other person. If you're out there dating and you think that dating is something, well, it's not. It's a facade. It's an illusion. It's a fake conditional title. It's a blip of fun and potential happiness that just fleets and flies and flows as emotions should, right? And we're looking for joy as human beings. But here's the thing. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't even consider marriage something that is of any importance, and that's not up to you to decide, because God created us and he says to get married. Okay, multiply and replenish the earth, have children, create families. You couldn't have got here if there wasn't somebody who had kids. And so, right, we'll get into all the things we get into, and I'm going to say stuff that people want to pull out their pitchforks for. That's fine. Do it. Take me out. I dare you. It might happen. I understand that. But here's the thing, really, with not needing a girlfriend and not needing a boyfriend, if you're not going to get married. Dating is a game. Dating is something that just gets people's hopes up. If people hope for things. I talk about how we don't need to hope for anything. Things are just what they are. But we're human beings as well, and that's what we are, is conditional and sinful by nature. And so we hope in things, and we trust in things, and we hope for things, and we believe things, and all these things that are conditional. And God is the only and the all. So people date, though, dude, and it's not even one of those things that you can say, like, and that's your choice, it's your opinion, and do it, and whatever, because it involves another human being. There are some things in life where, even if they're not so good things to do, it's like, yeah, we'll do it. It's up to you, because you're going to just damage yourself. But dating, these fake titles and labels and these things we sometimes as human beings do as just an image or just a event or whatever, yikes. Calling somebody a girlfriend, calling somebody a boyfriend, or your date for the evening or for 5 minutes until there's somebody else who's cuter, right? Yikes. Yeah, no opinion that it's not something that's okay to do. No, because there are things in life like this that have to include another human being. And now you've taken somebody else's life into your hands. Okay? And that's just how it is. There's no opinion, there's no say, there's no, you have these morals and I have those and blah, blah, blah. No, you're a human being and so am I. What we do have is emotions that we didn't decide to have or not. Otherwise, we could live in a perfect world and not get so caught up on things, right? As I do sometimes. I'm just as human as everybody else. But people often are just willing to call somebody their girlfriend. For those men out there, let me be very clear. Or call somebody their boyfriend. For those women out there, let me be very clear. Opposite sex only. Man and woman. Woman and man only. Not my choice. God decided. I didn't design it. I can't decide it. How else are you going to have children? You're not. Okay? So, and that's the thing too. That's what I was saying earlier, and I'll touch on it at least a little bit, and that could be an entire podcast episode in itself, but it's good to say right here. If you think that it's fun to be able to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and go have all the things that those people sometimes do together and whatever, but you don't think it's necessary to have children, well, you can't enjoy in any sense of anything life at all if somebody hadn't have had you. If somebody didn't give birth to you and have a child, you wouldn't even have the opportunity to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and have all the fun that you want. And so you don't even get to have an opinion on, like, much of anything at that point, right? You can't say if it's important to have kids or if you whatever, because if you have any desire to have any fun or happiness or anything at all, and a single experience as a human being, somebody had to give birth to you for that to be the case. So, do you see what I mean? And also, you have no place, any human to ever live, to have any opinion that a woman and a woman can be together or a man and a man can be together, because you couldn't even be here to have that opinion unless a man and a woman, also worded in reverse, but the same thing, a woman and a man, opposite sex, got together. You wouldn't even be here to have an opinion on it. Can we see some things as they are? There's only one truth, so wow. But this is what I'm saying, though, is that's the thing, is when you start getting a little bit wishy-washy about you're not so sure you're going to get married to somebody, but sure, we can be boyfriend and girlfriend and pretend that we're something until I decide I don't want to be anymore. You don't really get to decide so much that you don't want to be married. All right, my parents are divorced, so personal experience in that case, right? Okay, so think of the kids, would you? Think of 7-year-old Evan Strong and parents now split. And now I'm being dragged back and forth every other weekend, seeing my mother 4 days out of each month for years, and packing my entire life up, back and forth and 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 back and forth, with no opinion I could have, no say I could have, nothing I could do to change it, because my parents decided that they weren't going to be together anymore. All right, so think of the kids, because what happens often is people have sex outside of marriage. This is not an adult content thing. This is the human being and how children are brought into this world, onto this earth, ideally. But the world's here as well, man-made, on top of the planet we've been given by God. But here's the thing. Some people will have kids outside of marriage, and another one of those things, it's not really your choice, because there's a plan set in place by our one and only true eternal God, Jesus the Christ. And that's not a religion to try to believe in. It's the truth of all things. And think of the kids. Okay? The kids don't have a say. And children like to have a mom and a dad, even though sometimes they're not the most perfect, because no human is perfect. But yeah, so yeah, it sickens me. It disgusts me. If I wasn't somebody who had any personal experience with this, it would still be what it is. This is truth apart from all of us, because we're human beings and we can't get here any other way besides families. How else are you going to pop onto this earth? You have a mom and a dad. Whether your dad walked out before you were born or your mom is somebody who abandoned you, or you got put up for adoption at whatever age, or your parents got divorced, or your parents are both evil, one of them's terrible, you don't want to talk to them, or you know what I mean? The situations that any human being could potentially have because we're all just here. You know what I'm saying, dude? I mean, yeah, dude. It's harder to walk out if you're married. Okay? If you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, or even on the other end, girlfriend and boyfriend, right? Same thing. Then it's like this conditional thing, like, yeah, if I decide I'm done, then there's nothing holding me here. And so you can make the other person think you love them so much, and inside you are just like, well, I'll do this until there's something better for me. There's a lot that comes with a marriage, though. Legally, eternally, under God, we are his children. And we're commanded to multiply and replenish the earth. Because if the people before us hadn't, then we couldn't even be here to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. As obvious as it is once you see it, right? The phrase that I say so often when we talk about truth, the one and only eternal, unchanging truth of our living God himself, Jesus Christ. There's no opinion to truth, and there's only truth. So, yikes, right? And I'm sinful by nature. Whew. Well, it gives me the right to be saying something and call it truth. Well, don't believe me. But am I saying stuff that makes sense to you? I mean, like, that was like kind of a real shuddery speaking, because it's making sense to me. It makes sense to 7-year-old Evan Strong up until I was 22 and then moved in with my mother again. You know, and I could have, once I was 18 in the United States of America, I was legally an adult and could have made my own decision to do that. And not that that was like the end goal, and not that whatever, but just saying stuff I didn't have a say over, right? Because if people are looking at stuff like boyfriend, girlfriend, big hard eyes popping out of your face like those animated films, right? And they're so hunky, and they're so sexy, and they're so pretty, and they're so cute, and they're so beautiful, but only on the surface. And this guy's so great, but he stopped working out, so not anymore. This is boyfriend and girlfriend talk, okay? But when it comes to actually being a husband and or wife, you start talking like I'm talking right now, like I talk under In The Image Clothing Company. You start getting a little bold with things. Because all of a sudden, you're arguing over stuff that affects you both because you've become one. Eternal. A partnership. Boyfriend and girlfriend's kind of like, let's pair up in class, and then once school ends, we go back to our lives. Right? A marriage is like a contract that doesn't end. Even though life does. So, it sickens me. Whether I had any kind of trauma with it as a child, or as an adult dating, or whether I had a girlfriend who left me, or a wife who divorced me, or whatever, it sickens me, and it could sicken everybody if they understood what it was. And I love how I said that, because let's have a little bit of comedic tension breaking. It could sicken everybody, like as if like if you really wanted to be sickened by it, right? What I mean is, if people saw stuff as it is, but people are lost in the game of it, you know? And nowadays we have media in a way that we never had in the past. And it's disgusting. We live in a world of people who are so unfulfilled, seeking happiness around every corner, so much so that they're just turning and 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 turning, because you got to keep going to the next corner if you're trying to uphold happiness. That's a fleeting emotion. So you go from guy to 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 guy. What I was saying there is from guy to guy, but I started to say it in a way that didn't quite sound as though I was saying those words. But, right, for the women. And then for the men, you go from girl to girl to girl to girl to girl to girl to girl. You're turning the corner again and again and again and again, trying out all these cars, test driving them and test driving them and test driving them. But each year they come out with a new model. And then stuff comes from that, right? Car payments. And then the depreciation value. You purchase a new car, and sure, that's all great and fine. But the car is worth less than you purchased it so soon after you purchase it because the next one comes out. And so the value of the one that you purchased is now less than it initially was. And so you're paying more for the car than you actually owe on it. And that doesn't even quite make sense, but that's just how, yeah, things are structured in the world. But the reason I said that, I came up with it on the spot as far as like relating it to this, is because you think it's all so great and fun to get the new car, but then you're actually ending up paying more for it than the price tag because taxes and fees and inflation and the depreciation value, the value goes down in it because there's another one that's new. Okay, now let's talk about people and relate them to pieces of metal, plastic, oil, leather, rubber, fluids, right? A car. The human body is bone and flesh, blood. Not all that much else, really. Right? But there's spirit children inside of these bodies that are our vessel. Just as our bodies sit within the vessel we call a car to go around the earth. Yeah. Okay, so this is as real as it gets, as obvious as it is once you see it. This is the truth. I don't have an opinion on this. You don't gotta believe me, but people are test driving people, dude. And it's all great and fun. It's like that new car happiness, right? And then it's not so happy in your soul, whatever that could even mean, because happiness is a silly, misunderstood thing. Yeah, happiness is not joy. Joy is eternal from God Himself, Jesus Christ. Happiness is something that you can get when you have an ice cream cone, and then it immediately leaves you once it falls onto the sidewalk. Joy is like a deep-rooted understanding that you're loved no matter what, because God loves you, and all the human beings are equal to you and sinful, and God is perfect and unconditional. So, when we're testing out human beings, that's literally what happens. I mean, there's no exaggeration, there's no stretch in this. That's literally what is happening. People are test driving human beings, and then you purchase this human being by labeling them as your girlfriend for the men, as your boyfriend for the women, and you're all happy. Great. But then it's like the new car coming out. You see another human being, right? You've got your girlfriend, like buying the car, right? And you've got the thing. But then you see another girl, and she's cuter, right? The new new car comes out, and it's got things that you like more. And so now you buy the new car, or you get the new girlfriend. And now what happens to the old girlfriend's like what happens to your old car. You were so happy about it at first, but now that you don't have it, you end up paying more for it than you initially intended. Now the girlfriend who you dumped to get the new, cuter, hotter, more sexy, the one who wears more makeup and has higher heels and is even faker, right, is really what all those are depicting. Oh my heavens. As real as it gets, as obvious as it is once you see it, you got your pitchfork sharpened yet? And so you're paying for this old relationship. And what is that? Somebody you thought was your everything is now your old relationship. Yeah, who cares? I'm on to the new and greater, next and best one, right? This one comes with blonde hair, and the other one had brown, right? This new car's got a different paint of color. I mean, I want it as silly as it is, because this is as flippin' real as it gets. This is as real as it gets. In the Image Clothing Company. You want real? You want your life to change? Look to God. Your girlfriend, who was once your everything, is now yesterday's news. Right? And now you're paying for it. Now you're paying for it. There's a lot of complications come from stuff like that, right? Yeah. Right, like my parents, they were once lawfully wed, and in all the ways that they were married, right? And now they, yeah, right, have had to deal with a lot of complications from separating. And not only that, but so have I. So has my sister. So has a lot of other people as well, and the extended family and friends of friends, finances, living situations, emotional stuff, beliefs about permanence and how it's impermanent. And in a lot of ways, that can really drive people closer to their God, Jesus the Christ, but it's also a lot to deal with that can be very damaging. So you don't need a girlfriend if you won't have a wife. You don't need a boyfriend if you won't have a husband. If your intention is just to play around, well, then you're going to keep playing around. And you're going to keep putting on shows, right? Broadway plays. That's why they're called plays, because you go to watch a show be put on. People play around, dating, and really what they're doing is putting on a show. So, if you're ready to get real, welcome to episode 101 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled, You Don't Need a Girlfriend If You Won't Have a Wife, because you don't. And what you need is God. And you know it. When you're laying there in bed alone. And sure, you got 4 more dates lined up this week, but you feel so empty. I bet. That's great. Stop treating it like a game. Stop treating human beings like the next car that just came out. Gosh. Right? I mean, can we make it silly? Can I say things like not so perfect because I'm not? And neither is that person underneath the muscles that they've spent the last 6 months to get to impress you, but then they might not work out in 20 years and they might have 40 pounds of muscle instead. Oh, shoot. I can't even say this all clear. It's as real as it gets. I'm just saying, right? If you're a woman and you think the man's all hunky and hot, well, wait till he decides that he doesn't want to spend as many hours at the gym each week and instead he wants to go eat out at the fast food, and now he's a different looking human being. And for all those men who think the woman's so hot, wait till that makeup company goes out of business that she's caked her face with and see who the human being is underneath. And do you still actually want to be with that human being? Because you probably didn't love her. And for those women out there, you probably didn't love him. But it might have been fun. Oh, sure. You might have been happy in moments. Oh, sure. But you probably, and I could be wrong, but you probably were left empty afterward. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, right. And so there we go. Episode 101 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's where we're going to end it because dude, right? No opinion. It's sad. And it makes me, I don't want to be like afraid of saying it makes me sad, but I don't mean like I'm sad about it. I just know what it can do. I've been on the end of not being able to have a say over things like this. And, as we talk about, there's only one way you can actually have a good relationship, and it's if it's centered around Jesus Christ, like a 3-legged stool. There's no rocking to a 3-legged stool. You can rock on 4 legs if it's on an uneven surface, but 3 legs are so stable. threes, tries, trinities, the Godhead, Jesus Christ, the Eternal Father, and his Holy Spirit, all one God. God himself, Jesus the Christ, at the center of two human beings, a man and a woman, or let's say it on the other end, a woman and a man only, right? That's the only way you can ever have anything that's actually lasting. So have all your fun with your test drives, but you know how you feel if you feel as though you can't keep it up and keep going on dates just about every day or as often as you feel that you need it to get your fix. Sounds a lot like doing drugs to me because it's a high. And the Son of God came and descended below all things. The paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. It's on the back end. I'm out here preaching what I've practiced. Okay? There's only one truth. There's only one God. And a lot of people out here living in misery, claiming to have so much fun, while they're painting a mask on their face like a clown. And they don't even know who they are underneath. So, we will have clothing available whenever we do. Who cares? In the Image Clothing Company clothing made out of 100% natural materials, staying centered, fitting correct, and that's how we allow the body to work. Oversized clothing in itself is a very, very, very 3 times damaging imbalance to the human being. So, do all you can to purchase it in your size if you ever want to have it at all. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. So, thank you. It's the 15th of April, 2025, and there you go.